Hello, everyone. It's Fred again from Notes of a Nomad, number 81. I had the opportunity to find an old photograph album with has pictures in the 1940s. My mother put this album together, and I've made pictures or photographed some of the photos. Uh, and who knows, maybe some of my future descendants might be interested in what it looked like in the 1940s. So here we go. Some of the pictures that I managed to find yesterday and take pictures of from this old photo album. The first two pictures are 1941. Before I was born, my mother and father were on what we called the Fisherman's Rest. Again, I think I've told you my dad loved fishing, and some of these pictures certainly explain and show this. So there was my mother and father. I never saw my mother go fishing when I was there, probably because either one of them had to look after me. But here's the first time I didn't realize my mother even went with my dad fishing. But there's pictures of it to prove it. This is a couple pictures of me at 6 months old. Notice I'm wearing a hat. In fact, look at the pictures and you'll notice I'm wearing hats in almost all of them. This is a picture of me in 1944. I was 2 years old. So there's a couple pictures of me, and you'll notice wearing a hat. A picture of my grandmother, who I could really never speak to because she spoke Finnish and I didn't know how to speak Finnish. My mother could speak to her because having grown up in the family, she could speak Finnish, and I would sit outside while they were talking in Finnish. And that was my grandmother Westinen on my mother's side. So my grandmother Westinen, and I don't know her first name, and my mother. And that was in 1941, before I was born as well, according to the photograph album. Next picture was my father and mother, obviously out of a locket. And that was also, I think I was a year old. It said 1943 in the album. And this is a picture of my mother and father in the snow, also in 1943. And next picture is my uncle Wayno and my cousin Raymond. Raymond is still around. He's a couple years older than me. I think he's 80 or 81. And he is still working in Uncle Wayno's old workshop. He's living in their house. And he is welding sauna stoves in Thunder Bay. So I talk to him occasionally, and he seems to be still doing very well. A picture of myself wearing a hat and my cousin Linda, who I've spoken to recently, well, in the past few years. And there's a few more pictures of Linda and myself. Did it have a year on it? I think it was 1944, so we were both 2 years old. And my cousin Raymond again, and look at that wonderful wagon, and look at his clothes. Me sitting, probably my dad was fishing, and I was sitting on a rock in the river. Again, even though I was in the water, I had a hat on. I don't know what it's all about, these hats. And that's me with my teddy. Apparently, I loved that teddy, and I carried it around a lot. So that's me and my teddy in, again, I think I was 1944, so I was 2 years old. Again, myself and Raymond, my cousin. He has an interesting hat on. I'm not sure where that one comes from. And this is again when I was 2 years old, obviously a photograph taken by a professional photographer, my mom and myself, and then a picture of me again, 2 years old, 1944. Being on a swing, my dad built a swing, you can see homemade swing, and my dad pushing me on a swing. And next picture is again in 1944, I believe. Once again, my cousin Linda and myself. And here I am fishing. It said in 1945, so I was probably 3 years old. I had now advanced to doing a little bit of fishing, and I I was 3 years old, as I said, and the title was Fisherman Jones Jr. That was the title in the photograph album. My cousin Linda and myself again, and my dad and me again. We'd probably gone fishing. This was a picnic. My dad, myself, my cousin Linda, her mother, my aunt Eva, and then my mother. And they were having a picnic. And the car in the background was my uncle's, Linda's father and mother's car. I don't know what model it was. Probably an old Ford, but I don't know. Could have been an old Chevrolet. Somebody who knows cars might be able to tell us. And that was, did it have a year on it? No, I don't see. I'm looking at my notes here. Fisherman Linda. Okay, didn't see that. There I am with the fishing pole. And let's see what else we've got here. My cousin again, Linda, and myself without a hat. Hey, sometimes I didn't wear a hat. And here we have a picture of my grandmother, and it says W. Westernen, PA, which stands for Port Arthur, which was part of Thunder Bay now. And W is Wayno, was my uncle, who's Raymond's father. And of course, there's my grandmother, Grandmother Westernen. And good truck. Here's some family, myself, my dad, my mom, grandmother, Raymond, and his mother, my Aunt Elma. Another picture very similar, this time without my grandma, but my Uncle Wayno, Raymond's father, who had that truck that we were standing. Now this was coming from Duluth, which is going across the border into the States, and there where they were coming back. You can see my dad's old car. We drove to Duluth, not that far, but hey, in an old car it was pretty far, and I was pretty small in that time. 1946, so I was 4 years old then. And there's a picture, and it said, our car. So, interesting cars we had in those days in the 1940s. And that's where we stayed, in Duluth. That was the cabin we stayed in when we drove to Duluth, rented the cabin. And a picture of my dad, and I think that was August 1946, it said. And there we are by the car again in 1946, I think, or 47. Yeah, it was 47, so I was 5 years old. And there's a picture of my birthday. I'm in the middle here somewhere. I don't know if you can see that. But, that's me, and those were some of the children who came on my 5th birthday, mainly off the street we lived. We had a lot of young kids on the street. And my grandma and myself in 1948, so I was 6 years old. My hat looked pretty big that time. Anyway, and this time no hat, but my grandmother and myself. And this was it wasn't in the 40s. This was the 50s. I was 13 years old. This was still in Thunder Bay, I believe, before we moved to, yes, Vancouver, because we moved in 1956, and this said 1955, so that was Thunder Bay. I had a different haircut. 5 years old. This is my also 5 years old, and the next one is I was fishing, a lot of fish. I seem to have missed one picture. I don't know what happened to it. There was one with the birthday. I don't know where it is. Oh, that's the birthday. I guess I have it mixed up. That was my sixth birthday. Again, mainly the children on the street we lived on. One block long, but lots of children. And the last picture I have was 1948, I think, and I was on a bicycle that my dad had bought secondhand and fixed up for me. So there we are. That's the 1940s. I found these pictures. Hopefully, my future descendants say, look what it looked like in the 1940s. Wow, that was a long time ago. Certainly, things have changed since then. So, enough of that. Those are the pictures I found yesterday in an old photo album where I was staying, stored in a box in the garage there. So I thought I'd dig it out and see what's in there. So with that, I want to wish everybody lots of love and laughter, um, to you, your family, and friends. Bye for now from Fred, Notes of a Nomad. Till next time.